Hey guys, hope everybody is having a great week. We're back again with another episode of SEO Career Mastery. This week we have Maddie Martin, the SEO lead and digital PR lead at Represent, so it should be a good one. How are we, Maddie?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Excited to be here. Yeah, really excited.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I think we'll just get the ball rolling with sort of the generic question. You haven't been in sort of SEO for too long, but how did you get into it? What was the situation? How did you end up doing SEO and end up into digital PR as well then?
Yeah, so I've listened to a few of these, and everyone kind of says the same thing. Like they just kind of fell into it. Very
Yeah.
much the same for me as well. So I've been doing SEO now for 3 years, just over 3 years. I basically was doing my degree in linguistics, so like just studying the science of language, and didn't really know what I wanted to do for a job, but I wanted to carry on swimming at uni. So I did a master's in linguistics as well. Kind of got halfway through that and thought, right, I need to start applying for jobs now. Started applying for accountancy roles, then realized I just didn't want to be an accountant. So I thought, you know what, because I don't know what I want to do, I'll just apply kind of in an industry that I love. And at the time, I just loved fitness, loved training, that kind of thing. So I thought, you know what, I'll apply for this kind of general ecom role at MyProtein. So that's exactly what I did. And their kind of interview process was really, really good. Basically, had an interview with each of the channel heads on their assessment day. And then from there, they kind of put you in a channel that they thought you'd be well suited for. So because I like writing, I like looking at data, that kind of thing, they put me in SEO.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I joined MyProtein, I was quite lucky actually because each member of the team, there was say 12 people in the team, each of us had about like 8 to 10 sites to manage. And I was quite lucky because the UK was kind of my like main one, which is obviously like a good platform to be on, kind of the visibility of like over campaigns and stuff like that. But I also had like India, Ireland, Greece, Cyprus, Netherlands, Belgium, a couple of others, Poland, activewear site, just kind of the full breadth of kind of the world. So yeah, I was there for a year and a half, just doing SEO, not doing any PR really. And then essentially what happened was there was a guy at Represent who is called Harrison. He also used to work at MyProtein, and he was working in the marketing team at Rep. There was only 2 of them then. So there was Liam, who's the head of marketing, and then Harrison, who's the digital marketing manager. And he basically said, right, I know a guy at MyProtein who does SEO, who just wears Rep all the time. So Liam dropped me a message, got the conversation going, and then like 2 days later came in for an interview, and the rest is kind of history then. So I started at Rep in February 2021, February 2022. As I kind of did the SEO stuff, obviously the link building side of it, I started to realize that the best links were coming from pretty much the GQs, the hype beasts, the complexes. So that's how I very much got into doing the kind of campaign brand PR as well. I just love kind of the 2 sides of it. I love the kind of people side of the PR stuff, but also kind of the really data heavy, writing heavy side of the SEO. So yeah, that's where we're at now. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Perfect. And how does your day-to-day SEO tasks differ from Represent and MyProtein? Because obviously Represent's so rapidly growing at the moment.
That's it. So when I was at MyProtein, it was very much like it's a team of 12. We've got a head of SEO, we've got managers, and it's pretty much like we'll have, say, a new kind of strategy or a new kind of thing to implement on the sites. And again, this is why I was quite lucky. The UK was the Ireland site was always kind of used as the kind of testing site in a way. So that's what we test things on, and then if they worked, we'd roll it out to the rest of the world. So yeah, it was really good because I got the visibility on kind of actually doing the testing of kind of strategies and stuff, and then kind of figuring out whether it works, whether it doesn't work, and then, like I said, we roll that out. So yeah, it was very much kind of instruction from the head of or the managers, and then we just kind of carry it out as execs. Join and Represent, obviously I'm the only SEO. So I mean, came in and there was no kind of SEO strategy before I started, so we had no non-brand visibility at all. So I was kind of kicking off the strategy, but I very much had like a 6-month plan before I even came to the interview. I actually came into the interview with a 6-month plan of kind of what I wanted to implement in my first 6 months here, what I'd hoped to achieve, that kind of thing. Yeah, day to days is very much just like looking at kind of acute changes. on a lot of the tools, seeing what we can capitalize on. Obviously, like long-term strategy, that's like not the best, but it's working pretty well for us so far. I also do kind of all the product descriptions for drops. So we have a drop every Wednesday. So usually I'll write all the product descriptions for that drop on kind of Thursday or Friday before. Obviously try and optimize them as much as I can. And then also I also write all the press releases for each campaign that we do week to week. So that kind of fits into the schedule as well. So there is kind of a lot of stuff going on, and it's nice because I mean, if we have a month where we have, say, only one drop in the month, I can put a real effort into kind of doing the kind of nitty gritty SEO stuff that I've kind of had at the back of my mind for a long time, like maybe like a technical audit or a backlink audit or something like that. But again, some months are very PR heavy as well, and I'll kind of take the foot off the gas on the SEO for a little bit and kind of really drive home the PR. So yeah, it's always changing. Every drop is like pretty much completely different as well, so it keeps it really exciting. Even on the product side as well, like we have products which I do optimize very much for SEO. Kind of we call them perennial products, so stuff that's always on the website, so like the Owners Club hoodies, Owners Club t-shirts, 247 pants, like technical outerwear, stuff like that. But then we have kind of the real kind of brand moments as well. It's like if we have like a collab piece like with Motley Crue or stuff like that, that's very much kind of a more like a lookbooky type page. So I'll kind of approach that kind of product description or like landing page very much has kind of a more of a brand moment type piece rather than having an SEO focus on it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that gives you many insights on how my week works, but I imagine it's a lot going on at all times. But it's nice here because I feel like in kind of the areas that I'm in with the PR and with doing the product descriptions, like all stuff like that, which like in some companies, SEOs don't strictly do that kind of stuff. It keeps me involved in a lot of areas of the business, whether it's kind of the wholesale team, product team, you know what I mean? So it's nice to have a visibility on the whole business in that way. So yeah.
Perfect. I don't know how many hours you have in a week, but that sounds like a lot.
Yeah, especially for yourself.
What was that? Sorry, Shreya?
No, especially for yourself.
Oh yeah, but it's good. It's good. I love it. I love being busy.
Awesome. That leads me to my next question. You moved from a team of 12 to now sort of going in a one-man band with Represent. Do you have an ideal team structure of where you would like to end up with, I guess, a team at Represent, or are you sort of enjoying the space that you're in right now?
No. It's kind of got to the point now because we're kind of going through a bit of an internationalization phase at the moment. So as we kind of start building out more sites, that kind of thing, we're going to obviously need more people. I mean, for me, the last year and a half, especially, like it's been a lot of figuring out what actually works. So obviously, like every aspect of SEO is very, very important. You're on page, you're off page, technical, that kind of stuff. But I've kind of, in doing this strategy, I've kind of realized what is the real needle mover. So for me, for example, dedicating a load of time sorting out page speed isn't very efficient. So when I want to bring someone in, it's not going to be for that kind of thing, like the technical side, because I know between us we can kind of manage that. It'll probably be more stuff for blog writing, for content writing, that type of thing. Because I mean, for me anyway, the blog has been a huge driver for us. Like for example, I created a Varsity Jackets page like last June. Didn't really touch it for a while. Optimized the hell out of it on page. Didn't really get any traffic. And then as soon as I wrote a couple of blog articles on how to style a Varsity jacket and linked it to the page, it blew up, and all of a sudden it's like ranking second for Varsity jacket in Google. So it would definitely be for the content writing side, I think. But yeah, to be honest with you, like I wouldn't really be necessarily looking for someone with a particular skill set in SEO, because I think that as long as you have kind of a passion for the niche you're in, that's kind of the most important thing. Skills can be learned and knowledge can always be acquired, and that's kind of how I've learned it. Kind of every aspect of it is just having a passion for the thing that I'm doing. I mean, I remember my first week at My Protein. we were on a call, kind of an onboarding call, and it was just like a general marketing one for all the grads. And he said, you're all very lucky because you could be doing marketing for a butter company. And in a way, I just kind of thought, like, you know what, you're right, because I don't think I would have got into SEO if I was doing it for a brand or a niche that I didn't love. The fact that I went into an industry that I do love, that's what gave me the kind of drive to really kind of acquire as much knowledge and as much of a skill set as I can in every area of it. Yeah, to go back to the original question, I wouldn't be looking for anyone with a particular skill set, but I think content writing would probably be the main thing that I kind of want them to go at, but everything else would probably be shared.
Awesome. Yeah. Just to quickly build off of that, the passion aspect of things, what sort of I guess sparked your interest with Represent as well, and like sort of like had that buy-in effect for you, especially to the point where you prepped, I guess, a 6-month plan of what you wanted to do with the company moving forward?
Well, I knew about Represent for years before I worked here. So I'm actually from Bolton, and the 2 lads that started Represent from Bolton, we're still based in Bolton now. Like the lads we've got the same HQ as it's basically our old warehouse from years ago. So around kind of the Northwest, I saw a lot of Represent. It was very much like a super hype brand. Originally it wasn't very accessible price point wise, but it was something that you could kind of, as an 18-year-old or as a 17-year-old, you could save up to buy a t-shirt. And it was your kind of like, it was like the Louis Vuitton, but like the more accessible one, you know what I mean? So instead of paying 400 quid for a tee, you're going to be spending 90 quid for a tee, which is still a lot of money, but like, for me at the time, didn't have an income, was at uni or whatever, like it was something I could save up for. So yeah, I just loved the brand. I loved the story behind it, like 2 brothers kind of just going to Paris fashion weeks and putting on shows in the back of jewelry shops because they couldn't actually get a runway show, like, you know, stuff like that. It was just something which landed kind of home for me. So yeah, I just always loved the brand. So yeah.
Oh, awesome. Great. Jay?
Yeah, so Matty, I wanted to bring it away from just Represent and go into more so just working ethic. So you obviously do BJJ, which is Jiu-Jitsu for a lot of people don't understand, and it comes with a lot of mental discipline. Yeah. So how does that sort of leak over into your career in Represent, just obviously for goals and mental discipline overall?
Oh man, so much. I feel like I could talk about this all day and try and convince people. So I mean, in terms of my actual kind of job role, for me, it's all about learning and kind of the having the discipline to try and test and learn. So someone once actually said, I can't remember who it was for the life of me, but he said, the moment you stop trying new things is the moment you stop learning. And then when I started Jiu Jitsu, I kind of realized I'm learning all the time because I'm trying new things all the time. Because I think outside of our work life, we don't really get to try new things a lot in kind of a low risk environment. So we never really get to learn how to learn outside of work. But yeah, obviously when I started that, I was trying new things all the time. So like, for example, I'll start, say, a 6-minute sparring session. I'll initiate a move straight away of a new movement sequence. My opponent will give me a reaction to that. And then based on that reaction, I can then kind of take a read on that. So that reaction might be actually to submit me, which is a bit of a shame kind of pretty early on. But all we do is we slap, tap, and we go again, okay? And it's having that kind of mental discipline to just keep trying and keep adjusting things, okay? So I like to think of everything as kind of a feedback loop. I know I did a LinkedIn post about it. You might have seen this. I'll kind of expand on that a little bit. So when we get these kind of acute reactions from things, and when we adjust our movement patterns, whether we adjust the angle that we go at it again, or adjust the power that we kind of give to it, we get a new reaction, and that new reaction might be our opponent to maybe shift the shoulders this way a little bit to defend, which then opens up a gap for you to move into and advance your position. It's about just having the resilience to try again. So we call this kind of a short feedback loop. And the thing is with short feedback loops is that they lend themselves very nicely to a very fast rate of learning. And then when you compare this to SEO, what you'll find often is people say that SEO is a very long and very slow process. And that's because they're just looking at, okay, here's the input that I'm putting in, here's the traffic change. And the traffic change might not happen for weeks or even months down the line. This is what we call a long feedback loop. And the problem is with long feedback loops is they lend themselves to a much slower rate of learning. So we can't really learn very quickly. We can't take much from them. But what can we do to what can we really do to shorten that feedback loop and get more learnings more quickly? Well, we just have to force it. Okay, so just like in the Jiu Jitsu, when I take a read from my opponent of, okay, so when I do this, he opens up this way. Okay, I'm not looking at the overall kind of match as a whole and saying, right, well, I submitted him in the end and I did this move here and this kind of eventually led to that. I'm looking at the immediate response. I'm looking at the acute change. So I think that we need to really apply that to SEO as well. So for example, if you initiate something in your SEO strategy, don't just look at the traffic further down the line. Look in the next couple of days. Stick your page in to be re-indexed in Google Search Console. Check it in a couple of days. Check if your rankings have improved slightly, even if it doesn't move the needle. Just look at the small effects that it's had. Maybe you start ranking for a couple more keywords. Again, it doesn't move the needle, but it's just a few learnings that you can take from that. And if you repeat these short feedback loops, you kind of build a picture and a system which you can then apply to kind of the bigger picture. And I'll just take this. Sorry, I'll keep on this analogy for a little bit longer. Okay.
No, keep going.
I see. I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm sure you can kind of tell. But so I've started comparing websites in a way to kind of a jiu-jitsu match, and I like to think of it because I see a lot of chatter on search engine land, on Surround Table, on stuff like that, and you get a lot of people kind of hearing something from Google and immediately implementing stuff onto their site. And I like to think about it as, say I'm about to walk out into a competition mat, okay? My coach says to me 5 minutes before I go on, right, Matty, I want you to try this submission. I want you to try this move. You've never done it before, okay? But it's a very high percentage submission rate. It works on most people and you do it by doing X, Y, and Z. Am I going to then implement that into the game on that competition? Probably not. But what I am going to do is I'm going to go away, I'm going to test it. I'm going to test it with my own attributes, see if it works for me. I'm going to test it on different people with different attributes, so bigger, stronger, smaller, faster, slower people. Okay, I'm going to test it on different people in isolation, see if it works or not, and then see if I can get it to work if it doesn't work already. Okay, and then from this, we can kind of build these systems out of, okay, so if I see this opponent who's a big, strong guy, it's probably quite slow, and I know I've tried this system a million times, done it this particular way, and it works on big, slow, strong people. Okay. And I think that we can really apply that to our SEO strategy. So like I said, you'll see people on, I know everyone kind of crapped their pants a little bit a few weeks ago when they said that, when Google said that backlinks are no longer in the top 3 ranking factors, or if we have a helpful content update, people start just blasting out a load of content all of a sudden. That's kind of reacting very emotionally and just kind of doing stuff without actually measuring anything first. So what we need to do again is we need to initiate these short feedback loops in our testing. So we need to go away, implement stuff on a small page level, okay? We need to implement on different page types in different niches. If it doesn't work, see how we can get it to work, you know what I mean? So then we can approach a new site or a new page or whatever and say, right, okay, I've got these systems in place for these particular page types and these particular niches and get them to work for me, okay? And I mean, just to finish off this point with the kind of resilience thing again, I think the thing is, what Jiu-Jitsu sells you on the tin is that it's the only martial art where you can get it to work against bigger, stronger people than yourself, people with better attributes than yourself, okay? And you do that through acquisition of skills and knowledge development, or knowledge development and skill acquisition, okay? We need to approach this the same way in SEO. I mean, when I came in to represent, I was competing against a massive fast fashion sites with better attributes than we've got. They've got hundreds of products on their pages. They've got teams of SEOs, they've got teams of PRs, teams of copywriters, okay? There's always a way to beat them. You just need to just keep hammering away, keep testing, keep trying things, and keep looking at the small wins. And the more you measure, the more you win, the more knowledge you acquire, the more skills you acquire as well, to then apply in the bigger picture. I hope that was a pretty lengthy, lengthy draw.
That was great.
That was a very unique perspective. Yeah, no, that was awesome. Yeah,
Right.
Darius, do you have a question? Sorry.
Yeah, Matty, you mentioned part of that was one of the LinkedIn posts you've done. You've obviously, over the last sort of couple of months, you've been, well, I've noticed it definitely all over LinkedIn. I think you've been really sort of pushing it since, I don't know if it was since SEO exclusive or since maybe writing SEO and stuff. But how important is sort of personal brand to you, especially how does that affect sort of growth for Represent as well?
Okay, so I found that, I mean, SEO exclusive was what kind of kicked it off. It was meeting a lot of guys in the agency side, on the freelance side. Shout out to Louis Smith, he was a big one for me. Just guys doing a lot on LinkedIn, building their personal brand and kind of putting a lot of really good stuff out there. And I found that once you start kind of building that personal brand and people get to know you, when you go to kind of networking events and stuff like that, you can kind of, you've got a way in already to start talking to people with more knowledge, more experience than yourself. So I found it anyway as like if anything, kind of a confidence builder in a way. So say, for example, I'm putting out a LinkedIn post and I know I want the information to be right and I want it to be helpful to at least a couple of people. It'll make me really think about the strategy then and really think about and kind of look back on what I've done over the past 3 years in my career to actually what has made the difference. And in a way, it kind of reduces the noise around me of out of everything we've done, right? What's a real difference maker? Because that's really the only kind of content I want to be putting out, the stuff that's actually going to help people out a little bit. So yeah, there is that side of it, but also it's just like, I feel like the more you put out there, the more kind of you get, not necessarily you get noticed, but the more you notice other people as well, just by nature of being on the platform more. And through that, I've met so many guys and gals who are just like, have so much knowledge in the industry. And yeah, there's a lot of people I've kind of taken points away from. I mean, even I say it again, like since I've been kind of in this kind of networking spree, that's when I've started kind of doing my freelance work on the side as well. And that's been motivated through meeting other people, through LinkedIn, meeting other people, through kind of networking events, that kind of thing. And again, all it does is it adds to my knowledge, it adds to my arsenal of skills, which then ultimately I bring that back to Represent in the end anyway. So like I've got a client, for example, who pretty much told me when I started on her site, just do whatever you want with it, treat it like it's your own site. So that is now my test site. That's pretty much where I run all my tests. And to be fair, we've got really good results from those tests, but I then bring those back to Rep and implement on the Rep site. And it's just like, the results are exponential. It's great.
Excellent. And you mentioned there about sort of networking and stuff. You recently had your first meetup that you organized yourself.
Yeah.
How was that? How was it organized and how did the actual event go?
It was good. It was super casual. Didn't have any budget behind it at all. I actually did, because we've got a gym in the office here where we keep like just hundreds of sachets of our 247 electrolytes. I did bring a few of those and gifted those out. So there was technically a bit of budget behind it with a few sachets of electrolytes. I did promise no freebies, so I'm sure people were overwhelmed with how I over-delivered on that. But yeah, it was good. It was nice because I mean, I'd only met like 2 or 3 people from that group before. So again, it's just kind of opening up that network again. We had some people travel over as well. There was Ashley from Hull, and also Thomas came up from Reading, so that was really nice. And yeah, I think I do want to be doing these more often. Just kind of a super casual kind of small group based in Manchester, because I think Manchester's just like such a good hub for SEO, PR, marketing in general at the moment. And, you know, like the rising tide lifts all ships. What I quite like about the SEO kind of community is we don't have this kind of competition between ourselves, or that's not what I've seen anyway. I think the more we can kind of meet each other, the more we can learn from each other, the better, really.
Definitely.
And just expand on the events, Matty. Represent obviously have a lot of events, like the running clubs, everything going on.
Yeah.
What impact does that have on organic growth for Represent overall?
It's wild. Honestly, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know if you've been to any of our pop-ups, but they are like they are just nuts. So the last one we did in Manchester, the first guy started queuing up at like 2 p.m. the day before. We actually had a much better venue, a much bigger venue with kind of a better queuing system. So people weren't waiting once we opened for like 10 hours to get in, and we had loads more stock, so it was wicked. But stuff like that, honestly, we just see the brand clicks just really take off like immediately after. And what's really interesting about it is, so we did for our last pop-up, we did a 247 run at 6 a.m. in the morning. Oh, 6 a.m. in the morning. And we had about 350 people turn up to that, which was crazy because they only actually advertised it like a couple of days before. And obviously all those were UK based, but we saw a lot of kind of user generated content come off the back of that. So people posting it on TikTok, stuff like that, because it was the first one, it was huge. And we actually saw the main takeoff for 247 clicks and searches after that was in the US. So obviously the UGC had like blown up in the US a little bit, spiked the searches, spiked the clicks up by about 1,200%. And what's funny about that is obviously it didn't maintain that to that high degree, but it maintained about 100% growth rate after that. So yeah, it was really interesting. It's good to see that these kind of events and kind of influencer activations and like store activations and stuff like that we do really actually help drive the brand on the organic side. So yeah, it's just really good to see, really.
Awesome.
And just off the back of, sorry, 1 second, Shred. Just off the back of, now you're talking about the US market. Is there any updates in the Represent PR team over in the US? Is there any expansion there?
Yeah, so we actually do. So we actually do use. So we use an agency for our US PR, just because I didn't have any contacts there anyway. So essentially, the way our PR setup is, so I do all the mainline and brand stuff in the UK. We recently also took on a PR agency for our 247 line, Fittest PR. Shout out to them; they are excellent. Really, really great guys to work with. And since we've been working with them, they've just helped us get loads of coverage for our 247 line. It's been amazing. And then yeah, we're with Purple PR in the US. And they're a really good team as well, really good to get along with, really active. But yeah, I mean, George and John have just moved over there now to LA, got some big things cooking up over there. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Sounds exciting. Sorry, sure, go on ahead.
No worries. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it off with sort of a positive power punch kind of question, two sides. Yeah. You've been with Represent since 2022. Yeah. I guess if you could give us a few of your personal highlights, I guess, that you've experienced since working with Represent. Mm-hmm. And on the opposite end of things, do you have any advice that you would give to someone that's considering entering into SEO or a junior SEO to help upscale themselves?
Yeah, okay. So like highlights, I mean, obviously being an SEO, like I get like a bit of a thrill when I see kind of traffic increase or like get a number 1, number 2 ranking for a non-brand term, especially against the giants like Boohoo, Boohoo Man, like Next and people like that. So there's that kind of side of it, which I'll always get a thrill from. But to be honest with you, for me, it's stuff like walking to Selfridges in Manchester and seeing that we've kind of got the biggest space in there, seeing the kind of the physical retail side kind of really take off. I know I've said this to you before. And yeah, like the excitement of turning up to a pop-up on the morning just before we open, seeing a queue of about 3 miles. It's that side of it which is really exciting, especially because not even just from being within the brand, just from being kind of in the first, say, 5,000 Instagram followers years back to now kind of at a point where we're hitting 800K, like, you know, little things like that, kind of seeing the growth of the brand overall. That's kind of what's the most exciting thing for me. In terms of tips, obviously, I mean, I've only worked in-house. I've never worked agency side. So, I mean, if anyone's looking to go in-house, I'd say just go somewhere where you have a real passion for the industry. I know I said it before, but I think it's only going to drive you to want to acquire more knowledge all the time. It's only going to drive you to do better for the brand. And essentially just try your best and learn as much as you can. Don't stick yourself down to doing kind of one area of SEO too early, because you never know when that's kind of going to back off in terms of ranking facts and stuff like that. You might not have a job at some point, who knows? try and get a breadth of knowledge across the full spectrum of SEO. And I think that's the best way to learn. It's the best way to kind of get an idea of what works as well. So yeah, that's it pretty much.
Awesome.
Excellent. Last question just before we close up here, Molly. Just literally a one-word answer. If you had to choose going forward, SEO or PR?
Oh man, don't do this to me.
If you could only do one.
SEO all day.
SEO.
Perfect. Right answer. No, listen, Matthew, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. I think people are going to get a lot of knowledge, especially from that bit in the middle with the Jiu Jitsu and constantly trying out new strategies. I think that'll be really good. But yeah, have a great weekend and drop us all your socials so we can tag it in the video.
Yeah, class, will do. Amazing. Cheers, guys. Have a great weekend.
All the best, man.
Cheers, Molly.
You too.
Bye-bye.